The J-6 is an inspirational MIDI controller.
Freebie.
Hey, how's it going, everybody? Welcome to Freebeat, where I post new music-related content every single day, so if that sounds good to you, hit that subscribe button, ring that notification bell. Today's patron shoutout goes to Dishcloth. Thank you so very much for the support. Let's get started. Today we are back at the Roland J-6, and as you'll notice, we also have the Arturia Microfreak with us today, and that's because we are going to be talking about using the Roland J-6 as a MIDI controller and just how inspirational it is, and how inspirational I've found it in the past week or so. So yeah, to all of those of you complaining that you don't like the internal sounds of the J-6, good news for you today. We're not going to be using those sounds. The only sounds you're going to hear today are from the Microfreak. We're just going to be controlling them with the J-6. Now, really quick before we set this up, I just want to talk about why the J-6 is so inspiring to me. I am not great at music theory. I have a high school music education, and then I do have a bit more music education past that, but only really in drums and rhythm. I don't really have anything, melodically past that. So a lot of times I struggle with chords and chord extensions and chord progressions and how stuff works together and why it does. The J-6 helps me out greatly in those categories because of its preset chord banks, and it's just fantastic for breaking out of the repetition of using the same chords and progressions that I always do that I'm familiar with. So, enough talking about it, let me show you. So the first thing we need to do is plug the J-6's MIDI out port into the MIDI in on the Microfreak. And now you might be thinking this is going to be easy because they both use 3.5mm MIDI. But if we take a 3.5mm cable here, go MIDI out of the J-6, into MIDI in on the Microfreak, turn on the J-6, you will notice that we don't have any sound controlling the Microfreak at all, even though the Microfreak is clearly powered on and plugged into my audio interface. That's because these both use two different MIDI standards. The Microfreak uses a Type A 3.5mm MIDI connector, and the J-6 uses a Type B 3.5mm MIDI connector. It's a bit of a pain. It's kind of silly, to be honest. Some devices can use both and let you change whether it's A or B. I believe the Electron boxes can do that. Unfortunately, from what I've found, neither of these can. Now, fortunately, the Microfreak comes with a Type A 3.5mm to 5-pin MIDI adapter. So we can plug that into the MIDI in of the back of it, and then plug the other end into a traditional 5-pin cable. Now, unfortunately, though, the J-6 does not come with a Type B 3.5mm to 5-pin adapter. I have one that I've had for years. I use it with the NTS-1, among other devices. If I can find one, I will link it in the description below. But no matter what is linked there, please read the description, read the reviews, make sure it is indeed a Type B connector. There's all kinds of sketchy stuff with these connectors, and yeah, it's kind of a pain. So we're going to plug that into the other end of our 5-pin cable here and plug that into the MIDI out on the back of the J-6. Now, you can hear that we are using the J-6 to control the Microfreak. So, to start using the J-6 to play chords on the Microfreak, first of all, we have to turn on paraphonic mode on the Microfreak. That's going to enable us to play more than one note at once. Still nothing over here, though, on the J-6. That's because we have to enable chord mode on the J-6. So if we come down here and push the chord button on the J-6, now we can play chords on the Microfreak using the J-6. Here's where the fun begins, and that's because we now have full access, of course, to the Microfreak's amazing sound design features, and we also have access to all of the chord banks, all of the variations, styles, variations that the J-6 has to offer, and of course the J-6 sequencer as well. Those were just the first few preset patterns on the J-6. We can put our own into the sequencer. I'm going to do a whole standalone video on that, though, because that can get pretty nuts as well. Let's pick a new oscillator type here. We'll go Superwave. Where the wave knob gets us different wave shapes here. We've got detune between our oscillators and volume. So I'm going to go ahead and turn off the style and variation section for this video. That's what basically enables these rhythms to play. Going to turn that off and just have it so when I hold down a note, we get a chord. And now if we hold shift and press chord, we get access to all of the 100 different chord banks here on the J-6. Let's pick one at random. How about 82, 83. We'll go 83. There we go. See, I would never come up with that on my own. I don't have the theory and knowledge of music theory to do so. I think it'll be better down an octave, though. That's so cool. Right off the bat, I am now hearing that I want the filter cutoff to be mapped to an envelope, I think. So we'll use the cycling envelope for that. We're going to have a strong hit, and then we're going to have it fall. Okay, and let's go ahead and map cycling envelope to filter cutoff now. A little bit of detune in there. Let's extend our release. I could do this for hours, just sitting here playing with these two together, coming up with new chord progressions that inspire me far beyond those progressions. Of course, chord progressions are typically what inspire melodies, at least for me. They can inspire different rhythms too, because chord progressions and different chord changes make different moods. So for instance, these three right here, that immediately takes me to a little bit darker of a place, a bit melancholy of a feeling. And, that's where I can let my drum expertise take over and come up with something different in the drums that I normally would not have been inspired to play. I can certainly mess around on the keyboard and come up with a new melody that I like. In fact, we can actually still play on the Microfreaks keyboard. There will be some voice stealing, of course, because we are technically maxing out the polyphony of the Microfreak at 4 here with these chords. that's kind of cool. Yeah, right there. There's a mood that I could have never come up with on my own. The only reason I was able to do so is because I was using the J-6. That's kind of nice too. Yeah. Nice. So that's why the J-6 is so inspirational for me, and I really recommend having one, even if you never plug in the actual audio output of it at all, and just use it as a MIDI controller. It really is that inspiring. Really quick before we wrap up the video, though, I want to see if I can sequence chords to the Microfreaks sequencer using the J-6 here. So let's go Shift Sequencer, Record. All right, let's see how this sounds. Okay, so obviously not perfect, but yes, we can sequence chords into the Microfreaks sequencer. That is very, very cool, because while the J-6 does have an onboard sequencer that lets you take advantage of the styles and the variations, with the sequencer on the Microfreak, we do get access to these 4 different automation lanes, which can take things into a whole different level. And of course, we barely touched on the digital patch bay here as well, so a ton to unpack between these two. But this video, more than anything, I just want you to take away the fact that I feel the J-6 is an incredibly inspirational MIDI controller, especially if you're like me and you struggle with chords and chord progressions. This can really take you to the next level. Admittedly, I have already used this with Ableton, and really all you have to do is just plug it into your computer with a USB Type-C cable, and you're good to go. So much inspiration there. Just a phenomenal device, and I am falling in love with this thing very fast. So I do hope you found this video informative or at least entertaining. If you did, be sure to leave a like on it. If not, you can always leave a dislike. That's okay too, doesn't hurt my feelings, just makes me try that much harder next time. Either way, be sure to hit that subscribe button, ring that notification bell. Thank you all so very much for being here. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time. Bye.